The barracks are finally taking shape. The soldiers have a place to sleep. They have a place to store their weapons. But no castle can run on beds and swords alone. So today I'm building one of the most important parts of the barracks yet, a kitchen and a dining hall. Hi, I'm Jasper from CastleStube and I'm creating a growing LEGO Castle world. As promised in the last update, I'm continuing work on the barracks. The dining hall will be located directly above the sleeping quarters following the original plan for this building. But before the soldiers can gather around the table, I want to give this room a proper centerpiece. So while raising the walls along the castle wall, I start working on a large fireplace to make the hall feel warm and welcoming. You may remember that we already built the dining table in a previous update. And before continuing with the fireplace, I first need to figure out how the table will actually fit into the available space. And that turned out to be more challenging than expected. Those who have been following the channel for a while already know that I rarely build anything at a perfect 90-degree angle. So, fitting the table, benches and stools into this room took a bit more trial and error than I had anticipated. Leaving another problem for later, I continued working on the floor of the wall corridor to the left of the barracks. At the same time, I expand the dining hall by 2 studs in the back right corner, just to squeeze a little more space out of the room. Like the sleeping quarters, the dining hall features a wooden floor. But before we forget about it, let's finish the rest of the furniture. I start with a bench that fits along one side of the dining table, and then build some matching stools. Both designs are fairly simple, but intentionally rustic, without even including backrests. After all, furniture that is used by dozens of different people every day doesn't need to be luxurious. With everything else slowly taking shape, it's finally time to return to our first unfinished detail, the fireplace. While the structure itself is now complete, it is still missing the most important part, an actual fire. Designing a fire from logs and branches is something I really enjoy, at least as long as I have enough reddish-brown pieces to create some variation. Afterwards, all that's left to do is add a few flames on top. I also wanted to make sure that nobody accidentally stumbles into the fire after having one beer too many, so I added a small fender around it. Whether I will ever add lightning kits to this build? Honestly, I don't know. While I absolutely love the look of illuminated LEGO MOCs, I'm not a big fan of the modifications required to hide cables and route wires through the build. I think the fireplace turned out pretty well. And with that, it's finally time to tackle our second open problem too. At least for now. Let's settle on an arrangement for the furniture and finalize the layout of the dining room. And do you know why I always try to attach every detail properly instead of relying on loose pieces? Because this apple alone probably fell off at least 50 times during the build, and every time it somehow managed to roll into the most inaccessible corner. Before enclosing the dining hall with walls, I decided to start on the room next door. Following the original plan for the barracks, the space above the armory will become the kitchen, where meals for all the hungry soldiers will be prepared and cooked. After adding the same arches into the back of the outer castle walls, the kitchen floor has enough support to be built. The floor itself contains of 2 layers of plates for now, with another layer of tiles to be added later on. And just like in the dining hall, I also started working on a fireplace. This one, however, serves a very different purpose. Instead of keeping soldiers warm, it will be used to prepare their meals and will become 2 studs larger than the fireplace next door. On the left side, next to the fireplace, I added plenty of storage details, the beloved barrels, a few crates and a shelf, and whatever ingredients haven't been eaten yet. I really like the decision to go all in on white for the lower part of the kitchen. Not only are the walls and floor tiles white, but the fireplace is built from white bricks as well. That way, the chef can immediately tell whether the kitchen has been cleaned properly after a long day of cooking. And perhaps even more importantly, it finally gives me an excuse to use parts that aren't reddish brown or grey for a change. Here you can already spot a first for this castle project. But before I reveal what it is, let's finish the fireplace. Since this fireplace is larger than the one in the dining hall, it also deserves a larger fire. I also added a bar across the upper part of the fireplace, allowing pots, meat and other ingredients to be suspended above the flames for cooking and roasting. And of course, no medieval kitchen would be complete without a large pot of soup simmering over the fireplace. Sometimes I have to shake my head at myself because my build order isn't always as well thought out as it should be. In this case, I actually had to remove a few of the arches again just to squeeze the fire into the fireplace. Back to the teaser. I am building the first upside down section of the build. This technique allows me to work around a limitation in my parts collection. Since I don't own suitable wide arches for the fireplace, I can simply use inverted arches instead. As an added bonus, the construction leaves a few exposed studs that can be covered with tiles to give the fireplace a more realistic masonry look. For the upper section of the kitchen walls, I switched from white masonry to a combination of grey stonework and reddish brown wooden arches. But before we can start thinking about roofs, we first need to finish the front walls of both rooms. So I switched back to the dining hall and continued working on the half-timbered facade matching the style of the ground floor below. I also made the upper floor slightly overhanging, a feature commonly found in medieval half-timbered buildings. I believe the architectural term for this is jettying. At least that's what the internet told me. On the facade next to the castle wall, I continued using the same arch design as in the kitchen. For rooms of this size, I don't think it's a bad idea to add a few additional support points for the upper floors. Especially considering that everything in this castle is modular. With the limited workspace I have available, I constantly find myself moving sections around, which regularly reminds me just how important that modularity is. Speaking of modularity, we now have reached the top of the walls, which I can finally finish off with tiles. But instead of moving on to the roof right away, I return to the corridor on the left side of the barracks where we already laid the foundation earlier. Here I further define the space with some floor tiling and a staircase connecting the different levels. Only after that do I turn my attention to the roof. I start by creating a basic roof frame for the dining hall. At this stage I don't intend to finish the roof yet. Instead, I simply want to get a better feeling for its overall height and figure out how complicated the construction will become with all the different angles involved. The entire barracks section is interconnected, so before continuing with the roof, I finally built the last missing wall, providing the remaining support needed for the structure above. The corridor connected to the dining room will eventually end around the bend and merge into the battlements of the barracks wall. At least that's the current plan. And later in this update I give you a glimpse of the broader vision for the barracks. The design is still evolving, but with every update the overall layout becomes a bit clearer. By the way, I'm currently planning to use the same red and dark red roof design for the barracks as on the other buildings within the castle. Part of me likes the consistency, but other part wonders whether introducing a different roof color here and there could make the castle feel more diverse and interesting. With the structural work mostly out of the way, At least for this update, it's finally time to focus on another small detail. The dining room is already packed with furniture and has a fireplace, but I decided to also add a cabinet. Not only does it fill an otherwise empty section of the wall, but it also provides a place to store mugs, plates and other tableware needed for the daily use. Of course, all of that only works if we apply a little imagination, because LEGO accessoires are too oversized and this cabinet is not even hollow. While building, I noticed that I forgot to place these 4 1x1 pieces during the initial setup. But there was absolutely no chance I was going to rebuild and film this cabinet build again. So let's all agree to pretend they've been there for the whole time. And now comes my favorite part. I spent some time creating a few minifigures to bring this room to life. First and foremost, there is Henning the Bard, the first minifigure in this castle project to receive an actual name. A small tribute to one of my colleagues who actually performs medieval music in real life. And didn't I just talk about oversized tableware? Just look at this kid carrying a plate that's practically the same size as he is. We have a captain enjoying a well-earned drink. A young squire listening to the bard's performance while eating his apple. And then there's this lady in green. Judging by her equipment and appearance, she looks like someone with actual combat experience. That may explain why one of the veteran soldiers next to her can't take his eyes off her. And because this is still a dining hall in a military area after all, I thought it would be fitting to include another older guard enjoying a well-earned beer after his shift. Let's put the dining hall module back into its place and take another look at the kitchen. Here I decided to place a maid cleaning up after a long day of cooking and serving meals. Unfortunately, I then realized that I hadn't even finished the floor yet. So before assigning her the task of cleaning the kitchen, I should probably finish building it first. I don't actually have any proper medieval kitchen staff for this room yet, so it seems the kitchen is already closed for the day and cleaning is well underway. And then I had this idea of someone accidentally dropping a bottle of beer, spilling its content all across the kitchen floor. So while everyone else is already enjoying their evening in the dining hall, our poor maid still has even more cleaning left to do before she can call it a day. And before I call it a day myself, and trust me, this update took quite a bit longer than that, I wanted to place one final piece that just had arrived. I actually picked up some really exciting parts recently. Would you be interested in seeing some of them in a future update? For now, I wanted to use this decorated tile. It's technically a Ravenclaw symbol from a Harry Potter set, but I think it works surprisingly well as a symbol for the Black Falcons too. So the very first one gets a place of honor right behind Henning the Bard. Alright, there's still one more thing I wanted to show you before wrapping up this update. And before I forget about it, I give you a rough overview of my current plans for the rest of the barracks. In the corner where the castle wall meets the barracks, I'm planning to build another tower, mirroring the one on the opposite side. The armory will eventually connect to this tower section, but somewhere in this area I also need to fit a staircase leading up to the kitchen. In the front of the barracks, I'm actually planning the training yard. To be honest, I can't think of anything that would fit in this space better. And finally, the entire barracks area will be enclosed by its own walls, including a guarded gate to prevent unrestricted access to this part of the castle. And with that, update 22 comes to an end. What started as building a barracks is slowly evolving into a little castle within the castle itself. There's still plenty left to do before this section is complete, but for the first time I can really see the overall vision coming together. I also still owe you a proper overview of everything that has already been built. We haven't visited the gatehouse in quite a while, and to be completely honest, I haven't even assembled all sections of the castle together. But we'll get there. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts, ideas and suggestions in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time, the castle keeps growing, brick by brick.